I'm delighted to be joined by Peter Cooke of Moycullen and Galway ahead of the 2022 AIB Connacht GA Senior Football Championship Final, which takes place this Sunday, December 4th at Pearse Stadium in Galway, up against Tourlestrane of Sligo. The AIB GA All-Ireland Club Championship features some of the hashtag toughest players from communities all across Ireland. It's these very communities that the players represent that make the AIB GA All-Ireland Club Championships unique. Now in its 32nd year supporting the club championships, AIB is extremely proud to once again celebrate the communities that play such a role in sustaining our games. Peter, just to talk about this weekend, how much are you looking forward to it? A big clash with Tourlestrane and a provincial title up for grabs.
Yeah, really looking forward to it now. The kind of excitement is building this week. So, listen, another great day out for the whole community, I suppose, in Moycullen, most importantly, and I know we'll have a big support hopefully in Salthill on Sunday. So, just really excited now. I'm sure there'll be a nervous excitement as the game grows closer, but a great opportunity for us.
And what's the season been like for you? Of course, you got that dramatic goal against Salthill Knocknacara late on and took a belt into the face on route to get it in the net. But what's the season been like for you?
It's been really enjoyable. I would say probably mostly. It's funny, like we have something really nice building in Moycullen. Obviously, we've a really good community kind of aspect, whether it be the underage and kind of minor teams and 21s and different things, kind of grown into that senior panel. So there's a nice kind of conveyor belt of players coming through there. A lot of younger guys, some of the older statesmen as well, that kind of put teach us good habits instead of bad ones, and then a really good management team, and all the way up, I suppose, to the chairman. It's really it's a group effort. So it's been great to be involved, and listen, really looking forward to the next day.
And that win you had 2 years ago, you weren't around because you had moved to the USA at that stage. What was it like being abroad when that happened? And was there the sort of pangs of missing out on it?
Yeah. I suppose I didn't infect half the country with COVID. That was one of the benefits. But no, listen, it was bittersweet for sure. And listen, playing this year, I knew I wanted, I suppose, a slice of the pie. So in fairness to the lads, they were as hungry as ever, and you would swear they'd never won at all. So I'm truly grateful for the opportunity, I suppose, to go again with Moycullen. Yeah.
Yeah, can you talk about your path with football, how you got into it? Is it just a family thing that, obviously you were following the path of everyone else?
I suppose I was born in London, and we moved back when I was about 5 or 6. So that kind of period, obviously I don't remember that well, but I know when we kind of moved home and we moved into Moycullen, sport just in general was massive. Played a lot of basketball growing up, played a lot of football. They were the two main ones, and a bit of soccer as well. So the GA was huge. The basketball was huge as well in the Moycullen community. But I suppose around kind of 16, 17, when you kind of slide off and you choose one, definitely what I threw my hat at mostly was the GA. And we had so much good infrastructure in terms of like club coaches and pitches and different things that would kind of help you along the way and keep you engaged with the GA community in Moycullen. And then obviously that's kind of continued on, and it's funny, someone was saying to me yesterday that it's 10 years next year since we won our first minor county title in ages. So I think we're kind of reaping the rewards of, I suppose, a lot of people putting in place and giving a lot of effort to us as young kids growing up,
And so then, like, there's obviously the club commitments, county commitments, and you've been involved with the county before. I think you made your debut in 2016. Is intercounty something where you could take it or leave it, or is it something that's a big ambition for you to get back involved in?
I'm not really take it or leave it. I just suppose it's that bit of a bigger commitment, and you have to be present, and you have to, I suppose, dedicate that 9-12 months, probably even longer, to achieve what you want to achieve in there, and give it your full effort. So listen, between different bits and pieces, I've kind of been out of the country the last couple of years. I was playing in 2021. I know that was kind of marred by COVID a bit. So listen, it's the ultimate honor. Make no mistake about it. Like to wear the maroon for Galway is a serious privilege, and I know whether it's family or friends, they're seriously proud to see you do it. But at the moment, I suppose the focus is Moycullen and really enjoying it.
Are you staying in Ireland in general, or is there any talk of going back to the States?
I don't really know whether I'm coming or going at the moment. I'll probably be back there next week at some stage, and then you kind of are looking at January as a new year and seeing what you're going to do work wise. And there's a couple of different moving parts, whether you stay around and different bits and pieces. So I will have to have those conversations. But I suppose my thought process is on Tourlestrane first and foremost.
So what work were you involved in over in the States?
I've worked for an Irish company, a cybersecurity company, since kind of leaving NUIG about 4 or 5 years ago. So they're based out in Salt Hill, but we have an American presence as well, which has kind of grown out. So we've set up an office there, kind of 3 or 4 hours north of New York. So kind of go over and back to there and work remote a lot as well. So that's where we do most of our business. Excuse me. So it's good. I work remotely, US remote hours when I'm here, and then when I get the chance to go over and back, I do that as well.
Yes. Could you give us any sort of insight into the world of cybersecurity? And I'm trying to remember what was the name of that Russian something Bears. They did a bit of hacking back in the day, and then you've that anonymous cloud as well.
Yeah. No, there's all that stuff, and I kind of keep attuned with that as much as a hobby as anything else. Like it's a very interesting world, I suppose. You're the technical people in our company are trying to create technologies that kind of safeguard businesses. You've seen stuff like the HSE and Uber and different breaches like that. So it's a serious world that it operates in, and the market is ever growing. So it's been exciting. We've kind of doubled or tripled in size the company over the last 4 or 5 years. So it's been cool to see that side of things as well, kind of growing from a smaller to a medium-sized business and trying to grow out geographically as well. So learned a lot and met a lot of good people along the way.
I just looked it up as you were talking there. Fancy Bear is the name of the company.
Oh, Fancy Bear, yeah.
And like, how much is it like? So what's your sort of involvement in it, if you don't mind telling me? Like, what do you do? Do you kind of do some of the programming yourself?
No, I'd be on the sales side of things. So it's a technical sales role. So that's I've kind of come into the company and shadowed a lot of our senior people, a lot of good mentors there, and kind of gone up through the ranks on that side of things. And I hold a visa now, which can enable me to work in the States. So we've hired kind of heavily over there over the last 6 months. So the intention there is to kind of get some Irish DNA over there and kind of try and grow it out remotely to a certain extent, but also that physical aspect is important. So that's kind of been the last 9 to 12 months of what I've been doing over there.
And you said 3 or 4 hours north of New York. Where would that be?
It's in Connecticut. So it's about 3 hours from JFK in a car. Kind of a sticky old spot to get to, but it's nice. Fairly cold there that time this time of year. So when you're going over, you need your jacket and your snow boots. That's for sure.
And when you're out there for an extended period, do you find yourself assimilating or getting into American football or basketball or any of this?
Yeah, sure. I'd follow that stuff here as much as I would when I'm over there, but it's great that this time of year as well, kind of around Thanksgiving, there's so much sports, whether it be college or the NFL, the NBA, and that it's a nice time of year when you're in there. When you're there in the summer, say if you visit at all, not a lot of that stuff is on. So like UConn, the college are in Connecticut and different bits and pieces like that. You have obviously a lot of major sports teams in New York. So like, I mean, you could be in front of the TV. It's like the World Cup is on every day over there.
Yeah. And are you stuck into the World Cup at the moment, or are you bothering with it?
Yeah. I'd be in front of the 10 o'clock game, and then you kind of have a look at the 1 o'clock, and then the 4 is on, the 7 is usually good. So no, it's good to be watching it, but I could be on the couch today if I'm not careful.
Yeah, I know the way. Just another question about Galway then. When you were watching the run that the team had this year and the form of the likes of Shane Walsh and John Daly and other players like this as well, what were your thoughts on it looking from afar?
Yeah, I suppose probably that no more than Moycullen, they were probably reaping the rewards of a lot of hard work that they had done individually over years and maybe hadn't got their just reward. Obviously, there was a couple of years there with COVID where it was kind of marred and you needed a bit of luck of the draw and there was no crowds and different things. It was just a strange time. So, listen, I think we all know the quality of player that's available in Galway, and it was great to see them go so far. It was disappointing ultimately to not see them go one step further, but I think there's something building there nicely, you know.
Yeah, and where would you have been surprised with Shane Walsh's performances this year, or quite the level that he got to, because it was quite something?
Yeah, no, not necessarily. Like, in fairness, you've seen a lot of them kind of perform at that level, whether it be with their clubs or colleges, kind of coming up through the ranks. I know NUIG had a serious year as well, running the Sigerson, and that kind of trend continued on. I know even Sean now, who's captain, has made a huge difference kind of in that role. So it came as no surprise. But I know a lot of people looking from the outside in who hadn't been paying much attention might have thought it was kind of somewhat of an overnight success, but I wouldn't say it that way.
And then a couple of players, the likes of Kieran Malloy's done his cruciate, and Liam Silk, who's working in New Zealand, may not be there next year. So, but I believe the likes of Ian Burke is back. He played with Cara Finn this year, obviously a brilliant player. Add him in there, and that could be serious stuff in the attack line.
Yeah, there's always, I suppose, naturally a turnover, and people do different things. As I said, you have to commit a huge portion of your life to it and give it your all. So there's always going to be that turnover from year to year. Like it's funny. I think it's more kind of relevant now than ever. Injuries, different bits and pieces, the game getting more serious. So listen, hopefully the lads that are injured can get themselves fit and they have good healing power. And then I'm sure there'll always be a good crapper player available to go, you know.
Yeah. Who would have been your favourite player growing up?
I suppose the two that would stand out within Galway would be Michael Donlan and Michael Meehan. Michael Donlan, obviously being a roadrunner, I think that was kind of one of my earliest memories is watching Galway, is him playing. And Michael Meehan then was just class. I remember we might have been in the Ted Webb years, which would be an under-16 kind of Galway development squad, and going out to Loch George, and I remember kind of he struggled with injuries at the time, and you'd see him bursting himself on a bike or different bits and pieces up in the gym, and it's kind of like recognition that kind of the time that those guys put in to be the great players that they are, it's no coincidence, you know. So yeah, they'd be the two Mikes.
And to sort of extend the Q&A type thing, who's the toughest opponent you've ever had?
There'd be a lot of them. I suppose if we go one from Moycullen, I think David Wynn is a bit of a warrior. He's I don't know, is he by the letter of the law now? But no, he's he's a serious bit of stuff, and he's a great leader down there with that Moycullen group. And then, like, I mean, with Galway, you come up against some serious athletes with Cara Finn, Mount Bellew, like John Daly. I was delighted for him the year he had playing that 6 role, and he's as much as an attacking threat as a kind of solid defensive player. So I would say they're probably the two I can name check.
Yeah. What's the team you most like to beat?
The team you most like to beat, I think the one against Salt Hill was sweet. Yeah, definitely. I think we've had a good few battles over the years with underage different systems. It was one of those where you're so wound up before it. It's like the fear of losing is nearly outweighing the enjoyment of winning. So yeah, I would have to say probably Salt Hill.
What's your proudest day playing GA?
I would probably say that win with Moycullen. And I probably only say that in hindsight. I mean, I probably didn't appreciate how much it means to people, especially in and around the Moycullen community. And a lot of people would have kind of given me a lot since I've moved back and looked out for me, whether it's on a personal or a football level, whether it be kind of Don or Paul Clancy. We also lost a great club member this year in David Cox, and I'd be great friends with 3 of his young lads, Charlie, Daniel and Jamie. So days like that, they just make it kind of that more bit special for everyone as a whole, you know. So I'd probably say the county final this year, yeah.
Who's been the biggest influence in your career?
I would say a lot. I would probably, like, on a Galway level, I would always remember Gary O'Donnell. I kind of came into that as kind of a 17 or 18-year-old and played 4 or 5 years under him, and just the dedication level and the commitment year in, year out to a cause, it was just like blew me away. And like, I've always kind of admired leaders that lead with their actions more so than their voice. And yeah, like I was gutted to see him retire, but I mean, what he gave it in 12 or 14 years. Not a lot of people would see the ins and outs of it, but it's yeah, it's unbelievable.
Who's the joker on the Moycullen panel?
The joker, I would say I'll probably give that to Conor Corcoran. He's he's still learning the rules of Gaelic football. I think he has three or four picks off the ground in the last 5 or 6 games. So he's uber confident. I'll give that to him. But no, listen, he's a great young lad. He's given us a nice bit of spice there in the full back line this year. And listen, I suppose the world is his oyster. He could be anything he wants to be if he continues going well and it continues to apply himself.
Who's the best trainer?
Best trainer, I would say Paul Kelly, one of the Kelly triplets. For a young guy, he has serious dedication. He has his whole week mapped out, his days. So if you might not fit into his calendar, so we mightn't see him very often. But no, he's an unbelievable trainer, and for a young guy, he really looks after himself. And I think that kind of domino effects across the team, and when people see them applying themselves like that, yeah.
So the best dressed and the worst dressed?
Worst dressed is easy. Aidan Claffey.
Why?
Yeah.
What are we talking about
He
here?
loves an O'Neill's tracksuit. He loves a nice O'Neill's windbreaker, shorts in 3-degree weather, pants in 28-degree weather, and we'll give best dressed to Owen Gallagher. He's given us a bit of spice from the north. Yeah, he brings down the style, you know.
What player from another sport do you admire the most?
I would say Johnny Wilkinson. I would listen to a lot of podcasts now whenever I go out walking, and I'm not sure have you paid attention to him at all, but he has a couple episodes on this high performance podcast, and his mindset has just completely transformed from what he was as a player to where he is now. He's kind of reached kind of this nearly Buddhist level where he's kind of very present and in the now, very different to how he was as an athlete. And I think there's a lot of stuff to be picked up on there by young people and young athletes, that I suppose your sporting career or what you do for 60 minutes on a Sunday doesn't define you as a person, you know.
And then one final question: what manager from another sport do you admire?
Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, Dad is a big Liverpool fan. He goes to a lot of the games. He has a season ticket over there. So, I've been over there. The atmosphere is unlike anything else. Like a Champions League night in Anfield or a big weekend game. Really, really enjoyable, and it's intense, and his intensity on the sideline. And I think his care for players, I think that's a huge thing with management. You can see he has a personal relationship with his players, not only kind of a sporting one.
Brilliant stuff, Peter. Really appreciate it chatting to you. Enjoyed it, and best of luck this weekend.
Of course. Thanks a million. Appreciate the time.
Okay, and a reminder that this weekend we've got a coaching clinic coming up in UCD, Gaelic Football Edition. Ger Brennan, Paul Galvin and Stephen Poacher, they're going to be there, and you can get the link to the videos in the video description.